Yeah, there you go. Alrighty then. Well, I'm hanging out on YouTube and I'm watching Fox News, doing a puzzle, and looks like Comey's in some hot water. He just dropped himself in the frying pan, more or less. And I got a YouTube video going in the background that I paused that I want you to hear. And like I said, life can be a learning tool in many ways if you just listen. And Barbara Bush, her life, how she looked at things and how she did her things, and everything that she went through in life back in the 20s. She was born in 1925. So she's been around a while, you know what I'm saying? So how they say the older, the wiser. Well, there you go. And this woman was very wise, very generous, kind, honest, upfront, like I am. You know, just an all-American woman, you know. And I'm not just saying that because she was the president's mother and wife and all that good stuff. I'm just saying that because it is what it is. You know, the proof is in the pudding, as they say. So anyway, needless to say, I want to hit you up with Comey first, get that out of the way. It's going to be very short and easy. Lied under oath. Here you go.
Members of Congress also point out there appears to be, quote, material inconsistencies between Comey's congressional briefing on the FBI's relationship with dossier author Christopher Steele and DOJ documents that were provided to Congress afterwards. Now, here are the criminal charges that would apply in that case. 18 U.S.C. Code 1621. Perjury, generally, 18 U.S.C. 1001. Now, instead of sitting down with the liberal media, you know, the dream team of liberals, George Stephanopoulos, Steve Colbert, the ladies of The View, and others, Comey probably should be lawyering up. Now, this criminal referral letter today is also recommending criminal charges against Hillary Clinton and an investigation. Now, we know she broke the law by using that unsecure private email server in a mom and pop shop bathroom closet, then deleting 33,000 subpoenaed emails, and beating up her devices with a hard drive. These lawmakers today are now demanding an investigation into Clinton for hiding payments to Fusion GPS from the Federal Elections Commission. Now, remember, the Clinton campaign and the DNC that Hillary controlled, they funneled over $10, $12 million through a law firm, Perkins Coie. And then they paid Fusion GPS, which then fired a foreign national. Remember, foreign nationals aren't supposed to influence our election. Well, that's Christopher Steele. Christopher Steele then puts together a dossier full of Russian lies and propaganda that was never verified. Now, third in the congressional criminal referral letter is the former Attorney General Loretta Lynch. She has issues tonight. These members of Congress, they want the Department of Justice now to investigate allegations that Loretta Lynch threatened the Uranium One FBI informant. Remember, he was on this show. This is the informant that went undercover 4 years and exposed Putin's money laundering, bribery, kickback, extortion, racketeering scheme that was used to get a foothold in America's uranium market. Now, former Deputy FBI Director Andrew McCabe, he's also mentioned in this criminal referral letter. The recent DOJ IG report found that McCabe lied under oath 3 times about leaking to the news media. Now, those are serious violations that involve at least 3 criminal statutes. And of course, in the letter today, these lawmakers want McCabe investigated. And on top of that, we have the Trump-hating FBI lovebirds, Peter Strzok and Lisa Page. They're also being referred for possible criminal charges tonight. Now, the letter lays out how text messages show that Strzok removed a reference, remember the Clinton exoneration statement, explaining how she was emailing with President Barack Obama. They withdrew it. They took it out. They wiped it out, which means that Obama knew about the server all along. They changed it to a government official. Sure, that's what we'll call President Obama, a government official. Now, these lawmakers are also calling for members of the deep state to be investigated to lying to federal judges. we have been talking about this, and one of the biggest revelations in the Stephanopoulos Comey interview.
Yep.
In other words, the unverified, uncorroborated, Clinton bought and paid for phony Russian propaganda dossier. They used that in order to get a warrant to spy on an American, a Trump campaign associate, in the lead up to an election. That's lying to a judge. And they never told the judge she paid for it either.
Isn't that federal offense?
These are all major developments tonight. And all these bad actors that we have now been exposing for over a year, unpeeling that onion day by day, well, now today, criminal referrals have been made to the Department of Justice. Finally,
Right.
The big question tonight is, what will the attorney, Jeff Sessions, the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, do tonight? Will he defend the rule of law,
Right.
the Constitution,
Right.
equal application of the law, equal justice under the law? Now, that big story, by the way, is only one of our breaking news stories tonight. The House Oversight Committee Chairman, Trey Gowdy, he's asking the DOJ and the FBI and the Inspector General to look into issues that are raised by Congressman Mark Meadows in North Carolina about possible DOJ FBI collusion over James Comey's June 2016 statement and the larger Clinton email investigation. Now, Congressman Meadows is rightly saying that he has uncovered new emails and text messages that prove this coordination. Unbelievable. We need to get to the bottom of all this.
That's how you
All right,
do.
now, finally tonight,
Yeah, buddy. Time to peel that onion down to nothing. Get it over with. Anyway, sorry about that. Ran a little bit longer than I planned on, but there was some interesting news. Like I said, life can be a learning tool in many ways. Now, let me do this for a minute. Yeah, right there. And I want to go right there. I want you to listen to this. All right, for whoever is can get on here. All right. So this is about Barbara Bush. Up to her last days, hours, minutes, seconds of her life. And you remember what I said earlier about her. She was all that in a bag of chips in the dip too. Okay. So I'm going to play you something here, that another learning tool.
What we say, we loved Barbara. She was an amazing woman. We are back with a Fox News alert this morning. Americans coast to coast remembering the life and legacy of Barbara Bush, the former First Lady, passing away at home, surrounded by family and love after a battle with heart failure and COPD. Carly Shimkus joins us now with tributes that are pouring in on social media. It began immediately. Good morning.
Absolutely. Good morning, Heather. Thousands of people, from everyday Americans to the commander-in-chief, are sharing their memories and heartfelt condolences online. President Trump and the First Lady sending their thoughts and prayers in this joint statement, reading in part, as a wife, mother, grandmother, military spouse, and former First Lady, Mrs. Bush was an advocate of the American family. She will be long remembered for her strong devotion to country and family, both of which she served unfailingly well. Now, Texas Governor Greg Abbott also released a statement saying Barbara Bush dedicated her life to helping others. Her impact on Texas and our nation will forever be treasured. Across the aisle, Nancy Pelosi tweeting, First Lady Barbara Bush will be remembered for the dignity, civility, and spirit she brought to everything she did. But most of all, everyone who knew Mrs. Bush saw her immense love for and pride in her family. Our viewers also sharing their thoughts and prayers. Renee writing on Facebook, in my mind, she was like America's grandma, not just our past First Lady. We lost a true class act. And Susan writing, quote, always a classy lady. My sincere condolences to the Bush family. And Houston Texans defensive end J.J. Watt sharing these touching photos, tweeting, rest in peace, Mrs. Barbara Bush. You were a beautiful light in this world, and I am forever thankful for your friendship. And as you can imagine, Heather, Barbara Bush is still one of the top trends on Twitter this morning.
I'm sure lots of people will want to, pass their prayers and thoughts along to that family. And what a huge family it was.
And all five living former presidents have released statements honoring her at a time when we need role models so much.
Yeah.
What an impressive lady she
Absolutely.
was, right?
Yeah, that tells you something about her when everyone is reaching out.
It sure does. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, Barbara Bush leaves behind a lasting legacy, most notably her work with literacy. Now, 4 years ago, our very own Steve Doocy sat down with the former First Lady to talk about her devotion to teaching Americans to read, as well as politics and much more.
Mrs. Bush, thank you very much for inviting us into your house.
We're thrilled to have you. If you talk about literacy.
I'm gonna, but first, if you don't mind, I would like to do my impersonation of your husband, George Herbert Walker Bush.
Go on. Oh, I love it.
I did get an extra pair if you would like to give him these for later. Just tell him they're the Fox socks. Let's go back long before you were First Lady. I understand you were jogging
Right.
in Memorial Park here in Houston, and you were thinking, you know, what can I do to make a difference? And you came up with reading,
Literacy.
literacy.
And I still feel the same way about it. But we changed our focus from adult literacy, which is what we originally did, to family literacy, feeling that if the mother and the child learn together, it just makes such a difference. And now that Jeb and Doro are heading my foundation, they sort of delicately pushed me out.
Over the last 25 years, what's been the greatest satisfaction for you personally?
Well, just the fact that we're in 50 states and we were not in one state when we started. There were no programs before, and now we're in 50 states, and we've given away, I think, $60 million.
As you look back, which of the stages has been mom, grandma? What's really been satisfying?
All of them. Mom, I love. You know, we had babies so early that I could play golf with George W. and throw him off the golf course for profanity. And I mean, I think we're very, very close, George and I, because we did a lot of things together as a young mother. And we went through some very tough times too. And he was my hero, still is. That hurts when people criticize George W. and don't ever dare do it in front of me.
Yeah.
Or behind me.
You are one of the most widely admired women in the world. And I was trying to think, why? Oh, I'll tell you why.
Never mind. Don't answer.
No, I'm going to tell you why.
Don't tell me that.
You're a straight shooter. You say what's on your mind.
I've given that up for Lent.
She certainly was. We've heard a lot of stories, personal stories from people this morning. Here now to weigh in, Fox News contributor Dr. Mark Siegel, who is also a family friend of the Bushes. Thank you very much for coming in this morning.
Great to see you.
So you have some insight into her final days, like the last 2 days. What was going on?
So the day before yesterday, she had visitors. She was taking phone calls all day. She had Jim and Susie Baker visiting her. Jim Baker was, of course, President Bush 41's chief of staff and secretary of state. She drank a tumbler of bourbon. She enjoyed their visit. Yesterday, she was sitting with the former president all day, holding hands, and he was with her when she passed. She was strong and courageous till the end.
Truly remarkable. Now, the past year, some insight into some of the issues, health issues that she has been facing.
You know, so we tend to look at diseases like cancer as what people, you know, that's terminal. But there are other more chronic diseases that we need to talk about. And she had COPD, which was emphysema and chronic bronchitis, and she had heart failure. So she kept having recurrent visits to the hospital and to the ICU where she needed antibiotics, where she had trouble breathing, where she had to have oxygen. And a lot of that lung damage is not reversible. It's very progressive. So her last year of life involved a lot of hospitalizations while he was being hospitalized as well.
It's definitely tough for anyone. Such a tough decision to make. Now that we've heard about this comfort care, we first reported it. She decided she wasn't going to go back to the hospital. She was instead going to stay at home, surrounded by her loved ones. Obviously, a better place to be. Explain to people what comfort care is and how perhaps her decision can help others when they have to make this decision.
Well, comfort care refers to not aggressive care. In other words, you're not going to go on a ventilator. You're not going to go on a respirator. You're not going to have emergency CPR. They're not going to try to bring you back in emergency. But it doesn't necessarily mean withdrawing food or medications or oxygen.
In her case, bourbon.
Right, or bourbon, or food. Exactly. Yeah. She loved her bourbon. And she was on oxygen till the end. So I want people out there to know that it doesn't mean withdrawing all care. But it is something to be thinking about in your 90s. If you have a chronic condition, a progressive condition that isn't getting better, yes, you think about it with dementia or stroke or with cancer, but you should think about it also with more pervasive diseases. And so she becomes a role model for that now.
Right.
She's a pioneer for something I'm dealing with
Yeah.
every single day, which is patients are deciding, what is my quality of life?
Yeah.
And it's a personal decision that should be made on a one-on-one basis. Nobody should tell you what to do, but as a patient,
Yeah.
you should think, is this what I want?
Well, we have to go, but finally, just did it surprise you that she's become a role model in this way,
No, it doesn't.
even in death?
No, because look at her. She was a role model for literacy. She was a role model for HIV/AIDS, hugging AIDS victims. She was a role model for volunteerism. She was a women's advocate. She's been a force, a family person, family value. She's been a force throughout her whole life. And we should be very sad that she's
All
gone.
right, Dr. Siegel, thank you so much for
Great to
joining
see
us. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Well, the public is, of course, invited to pay their respects for former First Lady Barbara Bush. That will happen this Friday between 12 p.m. and midnight at St. Martin's Episcopal Church in
April
Houston.
20th.
A private funeral service will be held Saturday before she is laid to rest at the George H.W. Bush Presidential Library. Barbara Bush passing away at the age of 92.
Say, that woman was the awesomest woman I have ever heard about. I never got to meet her, but the things she has done in her lifetime and the person she was at the end, she'll always be down. She'd be number one history that we lost for 2018. It's just heartbreaking, but we all have to go sometime. But she went out with dignity and grace and just pure awesomeness. Rest in peace, Barbara Bush. Your work has been done. I thank you for your time, your heart, your love, everything you've done towards America. Rest in peace. But anyway, now that I have played that one, like I said, you learn from the wise, and she was a very wise woman, very wise. Anyway, I think I'm going to kill this now because I didn't want to run it into too long of a video. I just had to get that out and share something with you, that might help you along the road, like you said. People with bronchitis and stuff like she had, and, stuff like that. And every day, you can't be promised tomorrow, so you need to have your priorities in straight. So anyway, let's see. Yeah, we're about 30 minutes into the video of Bush, and I don't know how much of the video I'm on, but anyway, yep, I'd say that was a very sad day. It is a sad day. I'll talk at you guys later. Thank you for watching. Bye. I'm trying to kill the thing.